Krishna, Subhadra Mataji, Gunaraj Prabhu, Shailesh Prabhu, Dandava Pranams. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranams, Prabhu.
Right. It will be better than the last time although still on the mobile connection, but it should be better. Okay, let us quickly just summarize what we remind ourselves we did last time. We did the second part of the fourth chapter, describing transcendental qualities of Lord Maharaj. So it was described that Hiranyakashipu had 4 sons. Prahlad was not the only one. He had the 4 sons, but he was the best of them, because he was a another devotee of Krishna. And then many qualities are listed there by Shukdev Goswami, like Brahmanya, he was a qualified as Brahmana. Shila Sampana, he had a good character. Satyasando, he was determined to understand the absolute truth. Jitendriya, he had the full control of the mind and the senses. Atmavat Sarva Bhutanam, he was like kind like Paramatma to all living beings and the best friend. Ekapriya Suhritama, best friend and well-wisher of everybody. He was Dasavat Sanat Grihe, surrendered to fate of the wise, like a menial servant. And this is one quality. Pitrivat Dina Vatsala, kind to poor, like a father. Bhraktivat Sadrisha Snigdo, affectionate to equals, like a brother. Guru Shishvara Bhavana, respectful to gurus, seeing them as good as the Lord. Vidyartha Rupo, Janmadhyo, endowed with education, wealth, beauty, good birth, and Mana Stamba Vivajita, free of pride and unsubmissiveness. And then there are further qualities. I won't list all of them. So in that chapter we hear about all these qualities, and then after that there is a question of Maharaj Yudhishthir inquiring from Narada Muni, if his son was so great, how come that Hiranyakashipu gave so much trouble to such a saintly son? He wanted to know that. And then Maharaj Yudhishthir starts to explain the background of the story, starting with the education of Prahlad and the Shukracharya's sons. And we came to the 6th verse of the 5th chapter. So we'll continue there. I'll just quickly share my screen. Okay. What is this? One second. Oh, sorry, I somehow, yeah, I didn't share the right screen. I have to share again. Which one is it? Which one? Okay. Can you? Oh, again, something is happening. Oh, just one moment. I don't know what's happening. Why I can. Screen sharing has stopped as the share window is closed. Maybe I'm sharing the wrong window. Screen. Can you see now my screen with the Bhagavata? Anybody? Is my screen visible? Shailesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
Oh,
Prabhu.
thank you. Okay. Okay, let us continue. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayana Namaste Cheva Namaste Devi Saraswati Namaste Jayanti Nashta Prayashu Bhagavata Shanti Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Namaste Bhakti Bhava Devistiki Om Jnana Timirandasya Dhyana Shlakaya Chakshu Unmilitamien Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. To Sloka 6, Srinhadu Vacha Shuttva Putra Girodhaitya Parapaksha Samahita Jahasa Bodhir Balanam Vijati Para Bodhibihi. Narada Muni continued, and Prahlad Maharaj spoke about the path of self-realization in devotional service, thus being faithful to the camp of his father's enemies. Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demons, heard Prahlad's words, and he laughingly said, "Thus is the intelligence of children spoiled by the words of the enemy." So what were words? Can we just go verse back? And then he said the famous word Tat Sadhu Manya Sura Bharadehinam, the best of the learned. Any person who has accepted temporary body and temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety, because having fallen into deep dark well. So the famous verse Prahlad said. And Prahlad heard, and Hiranyakashipu heard it, and then he just laughed it off. He didn't immediately get angry. So purport. Hiranyakashipu, being a demon, would always consider Lord Vishnu and his devotees to be his enemies. Therefore, the word Parapaksha, on the side of the enemy, is used here. Hiranyakashipu never agreed with the word of Vishnu or Krishna. Rather, he was angered by the intelligence of a Vaishnava. Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna says, Savadharam Paritija Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. You have all other duties and surrender unto me. But demons like Hiranyakashipu never agreed to do this. Therefore, Krishna says, Namam Dushkritino Mudha Prapadanti Naradama Maya Pahrita Jnana Suram Bhavam Ashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake in the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. The Asura Bhav, the atheistic nature, is directly represented by Hiranyakashipu. Such persons being Muda and Naradama, fools and rascals, the lowest of men, would never accept Vishnu as the supreme and surrender to him. Hiranyakashipu naturally became increasingly angry that his son Prahlad was being influenced by the camp of the enemies. He therefore asked that saintly persons like Narada not be allowed within the residential quarters of his son, for otherwise Prahlad would be further spoiled by Vaishnava instruction. Strong words, fools and rascals, but actually Krishna is saying the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita. Muda and Naradama, the lowest of mankind. And Hiranyakashipu was the ideal example of such a person. And then he was thinking that Prahlad's intelligence was spoiled or infected by sadhus like Narada Muni, so he wanted to prevent that. He thought it's not Prahlad's fault at the beginning, but it's fault of the enemies who infiltrated his camp and spoiled the intelligence of his small boy. And Vishnu Chakra Thakur comments, the words were completely dedicated to Vishnu, his enemy. He laughed. This boy will learn whatever is taught to him. It is not his fault. From today, Narada and other Vaishnavas should not enter the school. Slok 7. Samyak vidharyatam bhalo gurugehe dvichatibi Vishnu pakshay pratichanir na vidyetasya diryatha. Hiranyakashipu advised his assistants, "My dear demons, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukul where he is instructed, so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by Vaishnavas who may go there in disguise." Does it say Vaishnavas here? Vishnu Pakshay. It says Vishnu Jatibe, Brahmanas, who are on the side of Vishnu. It doesn't say exactly Vaishnavas, but Brahmanas or devotees of Vishnu, which is the same purport. In our Krishna consciousness movement, the tactic of directing oneself like an ordinary karma is necessary because everyone in the demoniac kingdom is against the Vaishnava teachings. Krishna consciousness is not at all the liking of the demons of the present age. As soon as they see a Vaishnava dressed in saffron garments with beads on his neck and tilak on his forehead, they immediately irritated. They criticize the Vaishnavas by sarcastically saying Hare Krishna, and some people also chant Hare Krishna sincerely. In either case, since Hare Krishna is absolute, whether one chants it jokingly or sincerely, it will have its effect. The Vaishnavas are pleased when the demons chant Hare Krishna because this shows that the Hare Krishna movement is taking ground. The greater demons like Hiranyakashipu are always prepared to chastise Vaishnavas, and they try to make arrangements so that Vaishnavas will not come to sell their books and preach Krishna consciousness. Thus, what was done by Hiranyakashipu long ago is still being done. This is the way of materialistic life. Demons or materialists do not at all like the advancement of Krishna consciousness, and they try to hinder it in many ways. Yet the preachers of Krishna consciousness must go forward in their Vaishnava dress or in any other dress for the purpose of preaching. Chanakya Pandit says that if an honest person deals with a great cheater, it is necessary for him to become a cheater also, not for the purpose of cheating, but to make his preaching successful. And Vishwanath, they have done this at school. The Vaishnavas are responsible. So here is the topic of clothes. This is one devotee who is very much pushing the idea that we are not successful in preaching in the West today because we do not wear Western clothes. So he is encouraging everybody to, to always be in the Western clothes, even to give a class in a temple in the Western clothes. And he's dreaming about the day when the pujaris will be also in the Western clothes, because he thinks in this way, we will win the hearts of the Western people. But somehow, I don't think this is really the case. And this here, it is external thing. We might not be successful in the Western world for some other reasons, and we can blame the clothes, this or that. But the real reason why we're not so successful as we were in the Prabhupada's times is the lack of purity, lack of preaching spirit. It's more kind of internal reasons that the cause, not just outward appearance. Otherwise, you can be dressed in anything, but if you're not Krishna conscious, nobody is going to be attracted by your preaching, and you're not going to be successful in your preaching. So dress is outward thing. If it's really necessary and required to change the clothes, okay, we can change it. It's not a problem. But if it's not necessary, what is the problem again in wearing a Vaishnava dress? Anyway, so this is just some thought on dressing code. Krishna West is the movement that emphasize Western clothes, and even the leader of the Krishna West, who is a sannyasi, he's wearing Western dress. 758.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just a
Yes.
comment on that, if you don't mind. I fully agree with your comments. It's very much an internal problem of consciousness not being pure and not an external. But conversely, we also have fanatical thinking that one must wear only Vaishnava attire at all times, and the contrary is also true, which is also similarly filled with problems, because that again, if the consciousness is not clear, whatever external dress or the outward dress you might have to look like a devotee, if you don't behave like a devotee, then it's still very counterproductive. In fact, it's more harmful. So I think both ways is true. Where if the internal consciousness isn't correct, whatever your external appearance is, it's always going to be a bad result. So.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. This is a very good point. Yeah, we also have this fanatical thinking that you must be dressed in a strictly the Vaishnava or Indian robes at all times, and if you're not, you cannot even sing in the temple. You cannot participate in the program. You cannot do anything because you're in the mlecha clothes. This is again, fanatical thinking. But Prabhupada, he was not fanatical. He was practical. Whenever the Western clothes was necessary, Prabhupada had no problem. The devotees use it. One can be dressed in the dhoti and kurta or whatever, and be complete, complete karmi, kalijala or whatever. Just dress as a devotee in disguise. So internals are much more important. But yeah, balance is needed. Thank you for the point. We'll continue. Vatsa prahrada bhadramte satyam kathaya mamrisha balanati kutas tubhyam isha buddha viparya. Dear Sampralad, all peace and good fortune unto you. Kindly do not speak lies. Just reply with the truth. These boys you see are not like you, for they do not speak in a deviant way. How have you learned these instructions? How has your intelligence been spoiled in this way? So Nikaship was speaking at first very sweetly. He says, all peace and good fortune unto you. Vlad Maharaj was still a boy, and therefore his teachers thought that if they pacified the little boy, he would immediately speak the truth. Who is speaking this? This is servants. Yeah, okay. This is servants. Sandana Marka speaking to Prahlad, not Hiranyakashipu. While Maharaj was still a boy, and therefore his teachers thought that if they pacified the little boy, he would immediately speak the truth, revealing the secret of how the Vaishnavas came there to teach him lessons in devotional service. It was surprising of that in the same school, boys of the Daityas were polluted. Only Prahlad was supposedly polluted by the instructions of the Vaishnavas. The main duty of the teachers, who those Vaishnavas were, came to teach Prahlad and spoil his intelligence. So they took the spies there in the school, polluting intelligence of the boys, and somehow only Prahlad was suspectable. Vishnu Jagatakur, good fortune to you. We'll give you some sweets if you tell the truth. Balan Ati means overriding the other boys. Tubhyam stands for Tava. Buddhi Veda Prakrita Utaho Tisvat Bhavat Banyatham Shrotu Kamanam Gurunam Kulanandana. O best of your family, has this pollution of your intelligence been brought about by you or by the enemies? We are all your teachers and are very eager to hear about this. Please tell us the truth. Brahma's teachers were astonished that a small boy could speak such exalted Vaishnava philosophy. Therefore, they inquired about the Vaishnavas who stealthily taught it to him, in order that these Vaishnavas might be arrested and killed in the presence of Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu. Vishwanath, you should tell us, they thought, if he gives the names of some Vaishnavas, recognizing that person will bring him to the assembly of the king and beat him. So they thought to catch the rascal who spoiled the Prahlad. Shri Prahladu Vacha Parashvas Chetya Sadgraha Samyan Mahaya Kritaha Vimohita Dhyam Drishtas Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha. Lord Maharaj replied, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose external energy has created the distinction of my friend and my enemy by deluding the intelligence of man. Indeed, I am now actually experiencing this, although I have previously heard of it from authoritative sources. Basically, he's telling them how their intelligence is deluded. Purport, as in Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinasampane Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shurjavishu Pakicha Pandita Samadarshana. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog and dog eater. Pandita, those who are actually learned, the equiposed advanced devotees who have full knowledge of everything, do not see any living entity as an enemy or friend. Instead, with broader vision, they see that everyone is part of Krishna, as confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jver Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Every living entity being part of the Supreme Lord is meant to serve the Lord, just as every part of the body is meant to serve the whole body. As servants of the Supreme Lord, all living entities are one. But a Vaishnava, because of his natural humility, addresses every other living entity as Prabhu. A Vaishnava sees other servants to be so advanced that he has much to learn from them. Thus he accepts all other devotees of the Lord as Prabhu's masters. Although everyone is a servant of the Lord, one Vaishnava servant, because of humility, sees another servant as his master. Understanding of the master begins from understanding of the spiritual master. Yasya prasad bhagavad prasado, yasya aprasadam nagati kutopi. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Sakshat haritvena samasta shastra ruptastatha bhavyata eva salvi kintu prabhu priya eva tasya ande guru shri charanara vindam. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord, because he's the most confidential servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who is a bona fide representative of Sri Hari. The spiritual master, the servant of God, is engaged in the most confidential service of the Lord, namely delivering all the conditioned souls from the clutches of mind, which one thinks this person is my enemy and that one is my friend. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the friend of all living entities, and all living entities are eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. Oneness is possible through this understanding, not through artificially thinking that every one of us is God or equal to God. The true understanding is that God is the Supreme Master and that all of us are servants of the Supreme Lord and are therefore on the same platform. This had already been taught to Prahlad Maharaj by his spiritual master Narada, but Prahlad was nonetheless surprised by how a bewildered soul thinks one person his enemy and another his friend. As long as one adheres to the philosophy of duality, thinking one person a friend or another an enemy, it should be understood to be in the clutches of Maya. Maya, the philosopher, who thinks that all living entities are God, are therefore and are therefore mistaken. None is equal to God. The servant cannot be equal to the master. According to Vaishnava philosophy, the master is one, and the servants are also one, but the distinction between the master and the servant must continue even in the liberated stage. In the conditioned stage, we think that some living beings are friends, whereas others are our enemies, and thus we are in duality. In the liberated stage, however, the conception is that God is the master and all living entities, being servants of God, are one. So they are one in having one interest, not physically being one, but having one interest, one desire to serve the God. That's why they're said to be one. And Vishwanath, he is thinking these fools cooked in samsara think that I'm a stupid boy. Then spoke. Asadgraha means thinking of a friend, an enemy. The other meaning is a crocodile, graha, which devours persons who have fallen in samsara. Asad. That conception has been created by Maya and previously inferred. Now it is directly perceived by me. You're acting in this way all the time. So Prad is telling them that they're in Maya. Because of these dualities in thinking and perception, somebody is my friend, somebody is my enemy. It is very difficult to get out of this duality mode of thinking. On the bodily platform, it's not possible. One has to raise himself around the platform in order to see everybody equal, like Pandita Samadarshina. So Prahlad is giving them a lesson here, although they're not ready to accept it from a small boy. Sayadanu vrata pumsam pashubudir vidyate anya isha tathanyoham iti veda gathasati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is placed with the living entity because of his devotional service, is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service, one becomes a pandita and does not make distinctions between enemies, friends, and himself. Intelligently, he then thinks every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another. So generally we think that one becomes a pandita by, going to the school and studying many shastras and this and that and getting diplomas. But no, actually, pandita is one who makes no distinction between enemies, friends, and himself. One who is in the Brahma Buddha platform. He is really a learned person, not one who memorized the most books. Theoretical knowledge is one thing, and real knowledge means knowing the difference between the matter and the spirit, between the body and the soul. One who knows that, he is considered the most learned, even if he is materially illiterate. Like they say, Gorku Shordas Babaji Maharaj was illiterate. Still, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took Diksha from him, and he considered him the most learned person because he knew the absolute truth. Purport. When Prahlad Maharaj's teachers and demoniac father asked him how his intelligence had been polluted, Prahlad Maharaj said, "As far as I am concerned, my intelligence has not been polluted. Rather, by the grace of my spiritual master, by the grace of Lord Krishna, I have now learned that no one is my enemy and no one is my friend. We are all actually eternal servants of Krishna, but under the influence of the external energy, we think that we are separately situated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as friends and enemies of one another. This mistaken idea has now been corrected, and therefore, unlike ordinary human beings, I no longer think that I'm God and that others are my friends and enemies. Now I'm rightly thinking that everyone is an eternal servant of God, that our duty is to serve the Supreme Master, for then we shall stand on the platform of oneness and servants." So when everybody wants to serve Krishna, then we can say that there is a oneness among such living entities. As soon as the living entities try to enjoy the world and gratify their own senses, there cannot be oneness. Immediately the enmity comes in. Immediately there is a disagreement. Immediately there are wars. Srila Prabhupada criticized United Nations as the united animals. In what they are united? We can see nowadays what is the situation in the world. There is no unity, absolutely, in anything. And there are such a strong conceptions between the countries and nations about the enemies and friends. And they are all on the brink of war or already starting the war. This is materialistic consciousness. Demons think of everyone as a friend or enemy, but Vaishnavas say that since everyone is a servant of the Lord, everyone is on the same platform. Therefore, Vaishnava treats other living entities neither as friends nor as enemies, but instead tries to spread Krishna consciousness, teaching everyone that we are all one as servants of the Supreme Lord, but uselessly wasting our valuable lives by creating nations, communities, and other groups of friends and enemies. Everyone should come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and thus feel oneness as a servant of the Lord. Although there are 8,400,000 species of life, a Vaishnava feels this oneness. The Upanishad advises, Ekatvam Anupashyatam. A devotee should see the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be situated in everyone's heart and should also see every living entity as an eternal servant of the Lord. This vision is called Ekatvam, oneness. Although there is a relationship of master and servant, both master and servant are one because of their spiritual identity. This also Ekatvam. Thus, the conception of Ekvatam for the Vaishnava is different from that of the Mayavadi. So we speak about Ekatvam, Mayavadi speak about Ekatvam, but it's a different conception, although the term used might be the same. Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj how he had become antagonistic to his family. When a family member is killed by an enemy, all the members of the family would naturally be inimical to the murderer. But Hiranyakashipu saw that Prahlad had become friendly with the murderer. Therefore he asked, who has created this kind of intelligence in you? Can you develop this consciousness by yourself? Since you are a small boy, someone must have induced you to think this way. Prahlad Maharaj wanted to reply that an attitude favorable towards Vishnu can develop only when the Lord is favorable. So Yadanurata. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the friend of everyone. Surdam Sarvabhutanam Gatva Mam Shantam Richati. The Lord is never an enemy to any of the millions of living entities, but always a friend to everyone. This is true understanding. If one thinks that the Lord is an enemy, his intelligence is Pashubhuddhi, the intelligence of an animal. If one thinks I'm different from my enemy and my enemy is different from me, the enemy has done this and therefore my duty is to kill him. This misconception is described in this verse as Veda Kathasati. The actual fact is that everyone is servant of the Lord. As confirmed in Chaitamrita by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. As servants of the Lord, we are one. There can be no question of enmity or friendship if one actually understands that every one of us is a servant of the Lord. Where is the question of enemy or friend? Sometimes there are some, disagreements, quarrels, fights between devotees. So what does it mean? That means that we have not understood that we are all servants of the Lord. We are so much on the mind-body platform with our ego not wanting to give up. Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. Everyone should praise another's service to the Lord and not be proud of his own service. This is the way of Vaishnava thinking. Vaishnava thinking, Vaikuntha thinking. There may be rivalries and apparent competition between servants in performing service. But in the Vaikuntha planet, the service of another servant is appreciated, not condemned. This is Vaikuntha competition. There is no question of enmity between servants. Everyone should be to render service to the Lord to the best of his ability and everyone should appreciate the service of others. Such are the activities of Vaikuntha. Since everyone is a servant, everyone is on the same platform, is allowed to serve the Lord according to his ability. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Vriddhi Sanivishto Jnanam Pohanam Cha. The Lord gives dictation to the non-devotees and devotees. The non-devotees challenge the authority of the Supreme Lord, and therefore the Lord dictates in such a way that the non-devotees forget about the Lord, about the Lord's service, life after life, and are punished by the laws of nature. When this very sincerely want to render service to the Lord dictates in a different way. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Yeshanstata bhajatam pratipurvakam tadai buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Everyone is actually a servant, not an enemy of the Lord. And everyone is working under different directions from the Lord, who directs each living entity according to his mentality. Vishwanath on a podium. Vishwanath, he answers the question, where does your difference in intelligence come from? When the Lord is favorably inclined, animal intelligence is destroyed. What is that intelligence? He is my enemy. I will kill him. Making these distinctions is wrong. So competitive mentality is something found in the material world. But you can say sometimes in devotee circles, we also have competition, like in book distribution, who will win the marathon, how many books I distributed, how many you distributed. It seems like some competitive attitude. Well, Srila Prabhupada approved this because in this way, the scores of the books distribution got higher, because he knew that we are conditioned and that we need some motivation. But it's a good motivation, even to be first in the marathon. But still, we should appreciate the service of another devotees, of other Vaishnavas. And actually, our goal should not be to win, but to please the Lord and to please the devotees. And then if it takes form of a competition, that's okay. We can compete for fun. But the winning is not really the real goal. The real goal is pleasure of the Lord, pleasure of the devotees. Okay, next. Quite long. Oh, okay, I'll skip this. This one. Moment. Drink some water. $13. Sa esha atma swaparet yabudibir duratyayanukramano nirupyate muhyanti yadvartmani vedavadino brahmadayo hyesha binatime matim. Translation. Persons who always think in terms of enemy and friend are unable to ascertain the super soul within themselves. Not to speak of them, even such exalted persons as Lord Brahma, who are fully conversant with the Vedic literature. For fully conversant with the Vedic literature, are sometimes bewildered in following the principles of devotional service. The same personality of Godhead who has created this situation has certainly given me the intelligence to take the side of your so-called enemy. So it's the same Lord is giving intelligence to me. Purport. Prahlad Maharaj admitted frankly, my dear teachers, you're wrong. You wrongly think that Lord Vishnu is your enemy. Because he is favorable toward me, I understand that he is the friend of everyone. You may think that I have taken the side of your enemy, but factually, he has bestowed a great favor upon me. The Lord is difficult to understand for people with animal intelligence. Paramatma is defined as he who cannot be approached by persons with faulty intelligence, who think in terms of self and others. One cannot say, however, that he is easily approached by those who know scriptures. The knowledge of the Vedas are bewildered about the path to attain him, Bhakti Yoga. What to speak of your silly fellows? This Lord has diverted my intelligence. He has made my intelligence different from yours. So Vishwanath Thakur is paraphrasing here. Prahlad Maharaj's thinking and speaking. The knowledge of the Vedas is bewildered. Even those who know the Vedas, could be bewildered which part is the right, because in the Vedas you have karma, marg, you have jnana, and you have bhakti, and you have yoga. So which path to take? You might know, 6 darshanas and so many things, and still be bewildered about the most beneficial part for you. And that's why I perform, sacrifices, karma kind of sacrifices, and or engage in speculation or in yoga. 14. Yatha Brahmyatyayo Brahman Swayam Akarsha Sanidau Tattame Vidyate Chetas Chakrapanir Dirichaya. O Brahmanas, teachers, as iron attracted by a magnetic stone moves automatically towards the magnet, my consciousness, having been changed by his will, is attracted by Lord Vishnu, who carries a disc in his hand. Thus, I have no independence. This is very nice comparison. Iron attracted to magnet, or iron fillings attracted to the magnet. They don't move by their own will. They are just naturally attracted by magnet. Report. For iron to be attracted by magnet is natural. Similarly, for all living entities to be attracted toward Krishna is natural. And therefore the Lord's real name is Krishna, meaning he who attracts everyone and everything. So in other words, if we are not attracted by Krishna, that means that we are in diseased state of life. If we don't feel attraction towards the Lord, means the living entity is very much covered by material energy, by the gunas, then this attraction is not manifesting. But as soon as the heart, the mirror of the heart, is cleansed, as soon as the mind is purified, the natural attraction naturally comes forth, and one starts feeling the attraction. The typical example of such attraction are found in Vrindavan, where everything and everyone is attracted by Krishna. The elderly persons like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi, the friends like Sridham, Sudham, and other cowherd boys, the gopis like Srimati Radharani and her associates, and even the birds, bees, cows, and calves are attracted. The flowers and fruits in the gardens are attracted. The waves of the Yamuna are attracted. And the land, sky, trees, plants, animals, and all other living beings attracted by Krishna. This is a natural situation of everything in Vrindavan. See, in animate or inanimate objects, everything in Vrindavan, even sky, is attracted to Krishna because everything in Vrindavan is Sachidananda. So everything is alive. And since it's alive, that means it's attracted to Krishna. So this is the sign whether one is alive or not. If one is attracted to Krishna, he is alive. Otherwise, if there's no attraction, that person is same as dead, although he might be walking. Just contrary to the affairs of Vrindavan, is the material world where no one is attracted by Krishna and everyone is attracted by Maya. There's a difference between the spiritual and material worlds, and the Kashyapa who was in the material world was attracted by women and money, whereas Prahlad Maharaj, being in his natural position, was attracted by Krishna. In replying to Hiranyakashipu's question about why Prahlad Maharaj had a deviant view, Prahlad said that his view was not deviant, but the natural position of everyone is to be attracted by Krishna. Hiranyakashipu found this view deviant. Prahlad said because of being unnaturally unattracted by Krishna, Hiranyakashipu therefore needed purification. So, if one is unnaturally unattracted, not attracted by Krishna, he needs purification. And then once he's purified, he'll naturally become attracted. As soon as one is purified from material contamination, he is again attracted by Krishna. Sarvabhadvinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. In the material world, everyone is contaminated by the dirt of sense gratification and is acting according to different designations, sometimes as a human being, sometimes as a beast, sometimes a demigod or tree, and so on. One must be cleansed of all these designations. Then one will be naturally attracted to Krishna. The bhakti process purifies the living entity of all material attractions. When one is purified, he is attracted by Krishna and begins to serve Krishna instead of serving Maya. This is his natural position. A devotee is attracted by Krishna, whereas an undevotee being contaminated by the dirt of material enjoyment is not. This is confirmed by the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, Ye Antagata Papam Jnanam Punyakarmanam Te Dvandva Moha Nirmukta Bhajante Mam Dhridavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusions, engage themselves in my service with determination. One must be freed from all the sinful dirt of material existence. Everyone in this material world is contaminated by material desires. Unless one is free from all material desires, Anyabilasita Shunyam, one cannot be attracted by Krishna. So this is the main problem that is stopping us from being attracted to Krishna, our material desires. As long as we have material desires, as long as we desire something else apart from Krishna's pleasure, our attraction to Krishna will not manifest. So that's why purification or giving up material desires is necessary, is required to make advancement, to make a progress, to again be attracted by Krishna. It's like having, two opposite magnets, and we are like an iron piece of iron, and then you have one magnet on the left side and another different type of magnet on the right side. So either you become attracted to one or another one. You cannot at the same time be attracted to both. So we cannot at the same time be attracted to the material world and wanting to enjoy it and have many material desires, and at the same time desiring to become attracted by Krishna. It's not possible. So we have to give up one thing for another. Vishnu comments, what is this difference in intelligence? Just as iron moves on its own towards a magnet, my consciousness moves on its own towards Vishnu and becomes spontaneously different from your consciousness. It does so on its own, not caused by pious karmas, austerity, or charities. The meaning is this: the magnet, by its Shakti, attracts the iron and joins with it. There is no cause or goal in that action. Just as the magnet has its nature of attracting iron, Vishnu has his nature. The mind of the devotee becomes attracted to the Lord, controlled by his mercy. Where is my independence in that? Okay, so magnets and being attracted. Attraction leads to absorption, and absorption is a key for attaining the Lord. So if there is no attraction, there can be no absorption. So somehow we need to develop some attraction to Krishna. He is the most attractive. This is his nature. Just we need to remove all the dirt from the heart in order to stop feeling attracted towards him. Otherwise, it's a natural thing. Okay, just 1 minute. If you have any comment, please comment or ask. 5:15. Shinardu Vacha. Itavad 3:30. Itavad Brahmana Yoktva Virarama Mahamati Tamsani Bhartsya Kopita Sudino Rajasevaka. The great Saint Narada Muni continued. The great Sir Prahlad Maharaj became silent after saying this to his teachers, Sandanamarka, the seminal sons of Shukracharya. These so-called Brahmanas became angry at him because they were servants of Hiranyakashipu. They were very sorry, and to chastise Prahlad Maharaj they spoke as follows. The word Shukra means semen. The sons of Shukracharya were Brahmanas by birthright, but an actual Brahmana is one who possesses the Brahmanical qualities. The Brahmanas Sandanamarka, being seminal sons of Shukracharya, did not actually possessed real Brahminical qualifications, for they engage as servants of Hiranyakashipu. So real Brahmanas, they don't serve materialists or demons. They serve only devotees. A natural Brahman is very much satisfied to see anyone, not to speak of his disciple, become a devotee of Lord Krishna. Such Brahmanas are meant to satisfy the Supreme Master. A Brahman is strictly prohibited from becoming a servant of anyone else, for that is the business of dogs and Shudras. A dog must satisfy his master, but a Brahman does not have to satisfy anyone. He is simply meant to satisfy Krishna. Anukulana Krishna Anushilanam. That is the real qualification of a Brahmana. Because Kanda and Amarka were seminal Brahmanas and had become servants of such a master as Hiranyakashipu, they unnecessarily wanted to chastise Prahlad Maharaj. So the point here is being made that Brahmanas should not become servants of anyone. That's why Brahmana is supposed to be independent. But this is very difficult in now day and age to live only from Brahminical occupation, especially to be independent. And then, although devotees might be Brahmana initiated, second initiated, they are very often forced to, to work different sort of jobs and have different sort of masters and bosses. But in general, it's not recommended. But if there is no other way, what can be done? If one doesn't know how else to secure his financial needs. Next, Aniyatham Arivetram Asmakam Aya Shaskara Kulangarasya Durbudesh Chaturtos Yodito Dhamma. Oh, please bring me a stick. This plot is damaging our name and fame. Because of his bad intelligence, he has become like a cinder in the dynasty of the demons. Now he needs to be treated by the fourth of the four kinds of political diplomacy. Purport. In political affairs, when a person disobediently agitates against the government, four principles are used to suppress him: legal orders, pacification, the offer of a post, or finally weapons. Weapons or a stick for beating. When there are no other arguments, he is punished. In logic, this is called argumentum ad baculum. When the two seminal Brahmanas, Sanda and Marka, failed to extract from Prahlad Maharaj the cause of his having opinions different from those of his father, they called for a stick with which to chastise him and to satisfy their master Hiranyakashipu. Because Prahlad had become a devotee, they considered him to be contaminated by bad intelligence and to be the worst descendant in the family of demons. As he stated, where ignorance is bliss, it is folly to be wise. In society or family in which everyone is a demon, for someone to become a Vaishnava is certainly folly. Thus Prahlad Maharaj was charged with bad intelligence because he was among the demons, including his teachers, who was supposedly Brahmanas. So in the demonic society, everything is the opposite. There was one article in the early days of ISKCON, who is crazy, because public those days consider Hare Krishna's crazy. So I don't know whether it was it Prabhupada. I think Prabhupada wrote that to answer these concerns. Who is crazy actually? According to us, all materialists are crazy, and the Buddhists are not crazy. The members of our Krishna consciousness movement are in a position similar to that of Prahlad Maharaj. All over the world, 99% of the people are godless demons, and therefore our preaching of Krishna consciousness following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj is always hampered by many impediments. Because of their fault of being devotees, the American boys who have sacrificed everything for preaching Krishna consciousness are charged with being members of the CIA. Moreover, the similar Brahmanas in India who say that one can become a Brahmana only if born in a Brahmana family charge us with ruining the Hindu system of religion. Of course, the fact is that one becomes a Brahmana by qualification. Because we are training Europeans and Americans to become qualified and awarding them Brahminical status, we are being charged with destroying the Hindu religion. Nonetheless, confronting all kinds of difficulties, we must spread the Krishna consciousness movement with great determination, like that of Prahlad Maharaj, in spite of being the son of a demon. In Akashipu, Prahlad never feared the chastisements of the seminal Brahmanas, sons of a demoniac father. Here Prabhupada is describing the problems in days ISKCON had, how the Brahmanas, caste Brahmanas were protesting that he was giving Brahminical threats to Western Vaishnavas. But this was, even before Prabhupada's times, in Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's times, he was awarding a Brahman initiation and the threat to those who were not born in Brahmana families. And Smarta circles, they protested it very much, even coming to the point that they wanted to kill Saraswati Thakur. So this is very narrow-minded, thinking of seminal Brahmanas, who think just by birth that one gets qualification, and everybody else who is not born in Brahman family is not a Brahman and can become. This is their thinking, which is influenced by some sort of smarter conceptions. Vetram is a special stick for beating. Bring the stick because he has brought infamy to us for such faulty intelligence. Among the methods, the fourth one, punishment, is recommended in the scriptures. Well, the punishment is also one method of education. Danda is sometimes used in a Vedic education. But nowadays you cannot say that, otherwise you might go to jail. Even your own child can report you to police if you dare to raise your hand, at least in the West. In India, still, a little different, and still parents sometimes use some sort of corporal punishment because their parents use it and their parents use it, so it was a traditional. But even in India, it's becoming more and more strict, and you can be criminally charged if you're using undue physical force, even on your own child. So the times are changing, and cultural conceptions in regard to education are changing. Now we have whole big thing regarding the child abuse and child protection teams and all these things. So yeah, modern education, they want to protect children from being beaten by stick by their parents, but on the other side, isn't the modern culture is not protecting them from so many other things that are much worse, like both sinful, principles, both sinful activities, drugs, alcohol, and everything else accompanied by that. So sometimes the stick is actually good, but you cannot say that aloud and publicly. Prabhupada actually said, when they asked him about the Gurukul, they said, you can raise the stick but not hit. That was Prabhupada, you just kind of threaten a little bit, like you would threaten animals or something, but you don't beat. But unfortunately, now ISKCON history, we have a lot of cases of abuse where the children were beaten and abused. And yeah, that was the dark part of ISKCON history, of having unqualified educators educate our children. Okay, anything else here? Next. Daitheya Chandana Vane Jatoyam Kantakadrumaha Yan Mulo Mula Parashar Vishnur Nalai Torbaka. This rascal blood has appeared like a thorn tree in a forest of sandalwood. To cut down sandalwood trees, an axe is needed, and the wood of the thorn tree is very suitable for the handle of such an axe. Lord Vishnu is the axe for cutting down the sandalwood forest of the family of demons, and this Prahlad is the handle for that axe. Purport: thorn trees generally grow in deserted places, not in sandalwood forests. But the Samuel Brahma Sandana compared the dynasty of the Daitya in a Kashyapa to a sandalwood forest, and compared Prahlad Maharaj to a hard, strong thorn tree that could provide the handle of an axe. They compared Lord Vishnu to the axe itself. An axe alone cannot cut a thorn tree. It needs a handle, which may be made of the wood of a thorn tree. Thus, the thorn tree of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces by the axe of Vishnu Bhakti, devotional service to Lord Krishna. Some of the members of the demoniac civilization, like Prahlad Maharaj, may become the handle for the axe to assist Lord Vishnu, and thus the entire forest of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces. So we want demoniac civilization to stop, to be cut to pieces by axe of Lord Vishnu. And how will that axe manifest? it's already manifesting in form of wars. During the Mahabharata war, the Mahabharata war was the axe that destroyed demoniac forces on the surface of the earth. So another such or similar wars can happen in order to destroy the forest of demonic civilization. Vishwanath Prahlad is the handle of the axe named Vishnu, who cuts the root of the sun-level forest of the family of demons. The wood of the Varvura tree is famous as an axe handle. This is the thorn tree. Yeah, in Sandramarka they considered demons as fragrant sandalwood forest. They consider very advanced. Iti tam Iti tam vivi to payayir. Am I audible? I don't hear anybody, anything. So I'm not sure if I don't see my sound even moving.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. Iti tam vivi do payayir vishayam stajanadibi prahradam grahayam asa trivargosya papadanam. Sandramarka, the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, chastised and threatened their disciple in various ways. They began teaching him about the paths of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. This is the way they educated him. So dharma, artha, and kama. This is what this Sandramarka knew, and this is what they were teaching Prahlad Maharaj. And there were Vedic, concepts, and they had Vedic educational program teaching this dharma, dharma shastra, artha shastra, and kama shastra. They didn't teach moksha, and of course they didn't teach bhakti. So although being part of the Vedic shastra, dharma, artha, and kama, they are completely materialistic, subject. Dharma is meant, for economic progress, and economic progress you need to enjoy the senses. So they are all three connected. And the goal is sense gratification of this dharma and artha. Purport. In this verse, the words prahradam, grahayam, asa are important. The words grahayam, asa literally mean that they tried to induce Prahlad Maharaj to accept the paths of dharma, artha, and kama. People are generally preoccupied with these three concerns without interest in the path of liberation. Well, nowadays, people are becoming so adharmic and so foolish that they drop this dharma. They just want artha and kama, which doesn't work. And that's why the modern day material civilization has to end, because they dropped the dharma part and expect they will economically develop and enjoy. Hinyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, was simply interested in gold and sense enjoyment. The word Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu refers to soft cushions and bedding on which people enjoy sense gratification. The word Prahlad, however, refers to one who is always joyful in understanding Brahman. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna. Prahlad means person, always joyful. Prahlad was always joyful in worshipping the Lord, but in accordance with the instructions of Hinyakashipu, the teachers were interested in teaching him about material things. Materialistic persons think that the path of religion is meant for improving their material conditions. Materialists go to a temple to worship many varieties of demigods just to receive some benediction to improve his material life. He goes to a sadhu or so-called swami to take advantage of an easy method for achieving material opulence. In the name of religion, the so-called sadhus try to satisfy the senses of the materialists by showing them shortcuts to material opulence. Sometimes they give some talisman or blessing. Yeah, you have this sort of sadhus. Who was the Sai Baba who was, manifesting some gold, which was just a cheating trick, and similar sort of so-called sadhus, and they are posing as big spiritual leaders and giving blessings. Sometimes they attract materialistic persons by producing gold. Then they declare themselves God, and foolish materialists attracted to them for economic development. As a result of this process of cheating, others are reluctant to accept a religious process. Instead, they advise people in general to work for material advancement. This is going on all over the world, not only now, but since time immemorial. No one interested in moksha liberation. There are four principles: dharma, religion, art, economic development, karma, sense gratification, and moksha liberation. People accept religion to become materially opulent. And why should one be materially opulent or sense gratification? Thus, people prefer these three margas, the three paths of materialistic life. No one is interested in liberation. And Bhagavad Bhakti, devotional service to the Lord, is above even liberation. Therefore, the process of devotional service, Krishna consciousness, is extremely difficult to understand. This will be explained later by Prahlad Maharaj. The teachers Sandana Marka tried to induce Prahlad Maharaj to accept the materialistic way of life, but actually their attempt was a failure. Yeah, rarely anybody is interested in liberation. That's why jnanis are rare, and devotees are even more rare. So only when people, suffer enough in material world, when they get frustrated for a long time, then they start searching something more apart from dharma, art, and karma. When they start feeling inner dissatisfaction, they start searching for something more. Then if they're lucky, they meet devotees and take up bhakti. If they're less lucky, they take up to jnana or yoga, which are also transcendental processes, but still not in the level of devotional service. And people nowadays, they have no even idea of dharma. They don't follow any dharma. They just do sinful activities and try to earn the money in any possible way, hoping to enjoy. And some of them are successful, but they're not successful just because of their attempts in this life. You can see some materialists who are sinful, who are doing sinful activities, like having slaughterhouses. I heard of a man who has, a restaurant, and he has some slaughterhouse where he kills the animals and then sells them also. And he's very materially opulent. So how he became opulent, such a sinful person? Well, you can deduce that in the previous life he must have done some pious activities, some dharmic activities through which he deserved some opulence in this life. but now he's destroying it all by his sinful activities, and then next life, if he doesn't stop, he will go to Yamaraj. So it's very dangerous and very foolish to engage only in artha and kama, unrestricted sense gratification. It's a path to hell. But still, the dharma in itself is not our goal, because we don't want sense gratification as the result of dharma. We want Bhagavad Bhakti, as Prabhupada says, we want Bhagavad Dharma, devotion service, not just ordinary dharma and ordinary piety. Sometimes even devotees can be attached to dharma, to material dharma, so being materially pious, doing this ceremony or that ceremony, doing shraddha and this and that, which is part of Varnashama Dharma, but still outside of scope bhakti, which is, of course, much better than doing sinful activities, but still, it's still material and will not lead us to devotional service. 19. Tata enam gurur gyatva gyata geya chatushtayam daithyendram darshayam asa matri mrishtam alankritam. After some time, the teacher Sandana Marka taught that Prahlad Maharaj was sufficiently educated in the diplomatic affairs of pacifying public leaders, appeasing them by giving them lucrative posts, dividing and ruling over them, and punishing them in cases of disobedience. Then one day, after Prahlad's mother had personally washed the boy and dressed him nicely with sufficient ornaments, they presented him before his father. Just for a moment, please. Purport. It is essential for a student who is going to be a ruler or king to learn the four diplomatic principles. There is always a rivalry between a king and his citizens. Therefore, when a citizen agitates the public against the king, the duty of the king is to call him and try to pacify him by sweet words, saying, "You're very important in the state. Why should you disturb the public with some new cause for agitation?" If the citizen is not pacified, the king should then offer him some lucrative post as a governor or minister, any post that draws a high salary, so that he may be agreeable. If the enemy still goes on agitating the public, the king should try to create dissension in the enemy's camp, but if he still continues, the king should employ argumentum ad baculum, severe punishment, by putting him in jail or placing him before a firing squad. The teachers appointed by Hiranyakashipu taught Prahlad Maharaj how to be a diplomat so that he could rule over the citizens very nicely. So here it's whole science how to rule, and Kshatriyas, they needed to learn. So the punishment was the last. It's not like nowadays, immediately somebody says something wrong, especially in totalitarian societies, you arrest him, you put him in jail and kill him. No, first, you try to appease him in a peaceful way. But even in so-called democratic societies nowadays, the freedom of speech is hardly existed. It's censored in all possible ways. So it's a democracy only in name. So Gyata, Gyeya, Chatushtayam means Prahlad, who had learned 4 subjects worthy of learning, the 4 methods of Sama, Dhana, Veda, and Danda. Padayo patitam balam, pratinadya shishasura, parishvajva chiram darbhyam, paramam appanivritam. When Hiranyakashipu saw his child had fallen at his feet and was offering obeisances, as an affectionate father, he immediately began showering blessings upon the child, embraced him with both arms. A father naturally feels happy to embrace his son, and Hiranyakashipu became very happy in this way. So Hiranyakashipu also had some fatherly feelings and apparently somewhat soft spot for his small boy, which is natural for all fathers. Aropyankam avagraya murdan yashu kalam ube asinchan vikashad vaktram idam aha yudhishthira. Narad Muni continued, my dear King Yudhishthir, Hiranyakashipu seated Prahlad Maharaj on his lap and began smelling his head, with affectionate tears gliding down from his eyes, and motioning the child's smiling face, he spoke to his son as follows. So he became emotional and sentimental, that even his tears started falling down. Although he was the hardcore demon. Purport, if a child or disciple falls at the feet of the father or spiritual master, the superior responds by smelling the head of the subordinate. So this is the proper etiquette. The senior smells the head, and the juniors, they offer obeisances. I think the Lord Krishna, when he met 5 Pandavas, with each of them, he exchanged greetings accordingly. Nakul and Sahadev, they fell at his feet, and I guess he smelled the head. And Arjuna and Bhima, because they were equal, they embraced. And Lord Krishna, he embraced them. And to Maharaj Yudhishthira, Lord Krishna, he offered obeisances. Hiranyakashipu vacha prahrada muchatham tata svaditam kinchid uttamam kalenaitava tayushman yad ashikshad gurur bhavan. Hiranyakashipu said, my dear Prahlad, my dear son, O long-lived one, for so much time you have heard many things from your teachers. Now please repeat to me whatever you think is the best of that knowledge. In this verse, Hiranyakashipu inquires from his son what he has learned from his guru. Prahlad Maharaj's gurus were of 2 kinds, Sanda and Marka, the sons of Shukracharya and the same disciplic succession, but the gurus appointed by his father. But his other guru was exalted Narada Muni, who has instructed Prahlad when Prahlad was within the womb of his mother. Prahlad Maharaj responded to the inquiry of his father with the instructions he had received from his master, Narada. Thus, there was a difference of opinion because Prahlad Maharaj wanted to relate the best thing he had learned from his spiritual master, whereas Hiranyakashipu expected to hear about the politics and diplomacy Prahlad Maharaj had learned from Sanda and Marka. Now the discussion between the father and the son became increasingly intense as Prahlad Maharaj began to say what he had learned from his Guru Narada Muni. Yeah, he asked him what is the best you have learned, and Prahlad Maharaj, being diplomatic, being very truthful and straightforward, said what he thought to be the best. Somebody else, would maybe try to be diplomatic and tell him what Sundar Marga told him, but that was not Prahlad. So Sri Praradu Vacha, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmani Vedanam Iti Pumsharpita Vishnu Bhaktirchinnava Lakshana Kriyata Bhagavatyada Tanmani Ditamuttamam. Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and patterns of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with the 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna to these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. This is famous verse, and there is a very, very long purport by Srila Prabhupada. I doubt that we will be able to finish it. Yeah, definitely not. We'll have to stop somewhere. Still 20 more minutes. Our sessions are quite long, 2 hours. Sometimes might be difficult for all of us, but we can even stop earlier. We don't need to go full for 2 hours. Okay, let's read a little bit of the purport, and then we'll continue next class. Purport. When Prahlad Maharaj was asked by his father to say something from whatever he had learned, he considered that what he had learned from his spiritual master was the best of all teachings, whereas what he had learned about diplomacy from his material teachers, Chandana Marka, was useless. Bhakti Parashanubhava Viraktir Anyatra Cha. This is the symptom of pure devotional service. A pure devotee is interested only in devotional service, not in material affairs. To execute devotional service, one should always engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna or Lord Vishnu. The process of temple worship is called Archana. How to perform Archana will be explained herein. One should have complete faith in the words of Krishna, who says that he is the great well-wishing friend of everyone, Surdam Sahabhutanam. The devotee considers Krishna the only friend. This is called Sakyam. Punsarpito Vishnu. The word Punsa means by all living entities. There are no distinctions permitting only a man or only a Brahmana to offer devotional service to the Lord. Everyone can do so. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Vaishyas Tata Shudras Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. All the women, Vaishyas and Shudras, are considered less intelligent. They also can become devotee and return home back to Godhead. So Bhakti is actually the most open path. If you look path of karma, I don't think the lower Varnas or even women are allowed to perform, karma kanda ritualistic sacrifices. And most of them it's difficult to do jnana or yoga, but it's not so with devotional service, with the bhakti. Anybody can do it, regardless of birth or background, because everybody is a spirit soul. After performing sacrifices, sometimes a person engaged in further activity customarily offers the result to Vishnu, but here this said Bhagavata, one must directly offer everything to Vishnu. It's called sannyas, not merely nyas. A tridande sannyasi carries three dandas, signifying kaya, mano, vakya, bodhi, mind, and words. All of these should be offered to Vishnu, and then one can begin devotional service. For the workers first perform some pious activities, and then formally and officially offer the results to Vishnu. The real devotee, however, first offers his surrender to Krishna, his body, mind, and words, and then uses his body, mind, and words for the service of Krishna as Krishna desires. So there is a difference between formally offering results of our fruitive activities to Krishna or Vishnu and doing something for the Lord's pleasure. So it's a difference of karma and and bhakti. Karma, yoga, and bhakti. When you do something that you like, for example, you cook something because you like it, some preparation, and then because we are devotees, we offer it. But it's not really pure bhakti if we cook it with the mentality that I'm going to enjoy it, but out of formality, we offer to Krishna. It's at best karma yoga. We are connecting our work, our karma with Krishna. But pure bhakti means you work with attitude and desire to please the Lord. This is the only motivation. Okay, a little more. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following explanation in his Tatya. Word Shravana refers to giving oral reception to the holy name and descriptions of the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is similar authorized scripture. After orally receiving such messages, one should memorize these vibrations and repeat them, kirtanam. Smarna means trying to understand more and more about the Supreme Lord. Impadasevana means engaging oneself in serving the lotus feet of the Lord according to the time and circumstances. Archana means worshipping the Lord Vishnu, as one does in the temple, and Vandana means offering respectful obeisances. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhajimam namaskuru. Vandana means namaskuru, offering obeisances or offering prayers, thinking oneself to be Nitya Krishna Das, everlastingly a saint of Krishna is called Dasyam, and Sakya means being a well-wisher of Krishna. Krishna wants everyone to surrender unto him because everyone is constitutionally his servant. Therefore, as a sincere friend of Krishna, one should preach this philosophy, requesting everyone to surrender unto Krishna. Atmanivedana means offering Krishna everything, including one's body, mind, intelligence, and whatever one may possess. So these are Navida Bhakti 9 processes. And of these, Shravanam, Kirtanam are the first ones, and the most important ones. And of two, Kirtanam is even more important, but they go hand to hand together. You cannot really have a Kirtanam without previously heard. So Shravanam and Kirtanam. One sincere endeavor to perform these 9 processes of devotional service is technically called bhakti. The word adha means directly. One should not be like the karmis who perform pious activities and then formally offer the results to Krishna. It is karma kanda. One should not be like the karmis. Okay, that is karma kanda. One should not aspire for the results of his pious activities, but should dedicate oneself fully and then act piously. In other words, one should act for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, not for the satisfaction of his own senses. This is the meaning of the word hata directly. Anya Blastashunyam Gyanakarmadinaritam Anyukulyena Krishna Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. One should render tons of service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably, and without desire for material profit or gain, the fruitive activities of philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One should simply satisfy Krishna without being influenced by fruitive knowledge or fruitive activity. So one should simply satisfy Krishna. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad says that the word bhakti means engagement in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not of anyone else. This Upanishad describes that bhakti is the offering of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To perform devotional service, one should be relieved of the bodily conceptions of life and aspirations to be happy through elevation to the higher planetary systems. In other words, work performed simply for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord without any desire for material benefit is called bhakti. Bhakti is also called nishkarma, or freedom from the results of fruitive activities. Bhakti and nishkarma are on the same platform. All devotional service and fruitive activity appear almost the same. So this is interesting and important. To perform devotional service, one should be relieved of the bodily conception of life and aspirations to be happy through elevation. So as long as we are identified with this body and the mind, that means we are not performing pure devotional service, but it's mixed with something else. And also, as long as we have material desires or aspirations, that means again we are not performing pure devotional service. So we must be relieved of bodily conception of life and material desires in order to be engaged in pure bhakti. Otherwise, our bhakti will be mixed with either karma or jnana or yoga. It will not be pure bhakti. The 9 different processes enunciated by Prahlad Maharaj, who learned them from Narada Muni, may not all be required for the execution of devotional service. If the devotee performs only one of these 9 without deviation, he can attain the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes it is found when one performs one of the processes, other processes are mixed with it. That is not improper for devotee. When a devotee executes any of the 9 processes, Nava Lakshana, this is sufficient. The other 8 processes are included. Now let us discuss these 9 different processes. Yes, so one process technically is enough to achieve pure bhakti, but specifically in this age of Kali, it is difficult. For example, if you perform only archana without any shravan and kirtanam, it would be very, very difficult to achieve the goal. So that's why Jiva Goswami, he comments in Bhaktisiddhartha that Archana or any other of the 9 processes, of the 8 other 8 processes should be mixed with the Sankirtana, with the Kirtana, with the process of Kirtana, which is the process for this age and for which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for. So when we are doing the worship of the deities, singing of Krishna's holy names should be there. If nobody is there, if no other devotees are there, we can sing during the arati. And similarly for anything else, if you do parikrama, pada sevanam, we should chant. And of course, to remember the Lord, we need to sing about the Lord or to hear about the Lord. And hearing is also often mixed with the chanting. You know, you hear, then you chant what you heard of. Okay, I think we will stop here. If you have any final comment or questions, we can do it now. If not, then we should continue next Wednesday again.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay, we'll continue next Wednesday.
I may not be able to make next Wednesday because it's Ekadashi and I've got service next Wednesday, so I might have to just listen to the recording, unless it's possible Thursday next week. Thereafter, going back to Wednesdays is fine, but next week I've got service, so I may not be able to do.
What about the other person here, Gunaraj Prabhu, Subhadra Mataji? Is
Yes.
Thursday problematic for you?
No problem for me.
Okay,
For
good.
me also now not, but it can become because I have also some courses on Thursday, but now I am free, so I can join.
Okay,
But
if the next,
otherwise-
if the next one is not a problem, let's do it that Shailesh Prabhu can join. But
yeah, so Thursday is okay.
okay, we can do it beginning in Thursday.
Yes.
Actually, we can do it till the end of the month. So 13 and 25th, to 18 and then 24th it will be the Wednesday. And then on 26th, I'm leaving for here. And again, I'll be traveling for a couple of weeks, going back to India on the 9th. So for a couple of weeks after the end of this month, you know, we'll need again to make a break. And then after the 9th, when I arrive to India, we'll continue normally. But 2 more weeks we have before that. That's next Thursday, 18, and then after that, Wednesday, 24th.
Okay, Prabhu, I had a question.
Yes,
It's
please.
maybe it is about how to deal with people who are jealous or are manipulating people. How we deal with them.
You mean devotees or non-devotees or
Both, actually both, devotees and non-devotees. Both.
devotees? Yeah, this is demoniac quality, being envious. You said what? Manipulating.
Yes.
The best would, you know, it's like dealing with the demon. The best would be to ignore them. You know, if they're envious, displaying these qualities, if it is possible to ignore them and not to have anything with them, that would be the best. But sometimes you need to deal with them. Then you try to deal with them as least as possible. But if you don't have, you know, other way, and you need to engage in some confrontation, then yeah, you need to confront them on the basis of truthfulness, on the basis of some dharmic principles. But this is the last option. The best way would be not to engage with them. Devotees, even preachers, they try to avoid the envious. They are sympathetic towards those who are innocent, but those who are really envious, you want to avoid them because they are trouble, and you might not be able, you know, to change their heart, to make them favorable. So you just try to avoid them. I don't know what the particular situation is and how it is. Maybe you can give me some more hints. How is it happening? And
Actually, I have a group with to whom I am preaching, and one Mataji asked me, but it was with non-devotees, this one. But then one devotee also asked me how to deal, and then I was explaining about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us about Trinata Pisunichena, Sarura Pisayesnuna, and I also told her to ignore them, but then with non-devotees, and when it is what your workplace, you can't avoid them. So she tried to avoid them, but sometimes she has to deal with them.
I understand.
And they are giving her a very hard time.
Yeah, then somehow to pacify, it said to pacify a snake, it's possible with the mantras, but to pacify demoniac or envious person is very difficult. There is a shloka describing this. It's impossible because the envy is there. So the best way would be just to avoid. So even if it means to leave that place and somehow find another job or something, but confrontation is also not the way. It's just if you're fighting for yourself. But of course, you cannot allow that others, just trample you and harm you, and then your devotional service might also be harmed. But somehow, still, we should watch not to develop the same negative feelings that other person is having, not to develop hatred towards that person, because that hatred and anger will also contaminate our own mind, and it will be obstacle in our spiritual life. So we tolerate as long as we see that we are not developing the hatred and anger and other negative emotions that will pollute our mind. But if we see that we are affected, then we try to remove ourselves from that situation, whatever it means. The best would be if you just tolerate and be loving and kind, even if the other person is not so. Like Haridas Thakur, which is very, very high example, although they were beating him, they wanted to kill him, still he had zero hatred towards them. He didn't want to harm them. He prayed for them. So the ideal example would be, you pray actually for the person who is envious towards you. You pray to Krishna and tell him, my dear Lord, please make this person normal, make him not envious, because it's not good for him to be such. In any case, just to somehow to try to maintain the mental balance, the peace of the mind, not to be disturbed by this person. So if we are not on that level like Haridas Thakur and we are disturbed, then you just try to move away from that situation and ignore that person. These are the things I can think of. If anybody else has any other suggestions? Okay, if nothing else is there, thank you all for being here today.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. See you next Thursday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.